prefer not to be on video. So if there's a reason you don't want to be on video, I'm cool with that. If there's not and you can, I'd love to see your wonderful faces. Billy Pena, what's up, man? Good to see you. What's up? So great to have you all here today. So before we get into 30, 60, 90, who's got a success story that they've experienced since career visioning? Who has had the opportunity to take someone through the CV process and implement some of those things? And has anything occurred in your world where CV has helped you, or you've discovered anything since our last meeting last month? Has anyone hired since the CV class? Hey, Billy, was that raising the hand, or were you just checking something on your computer?
Yeah, no. So I was very happy to take your class because I was already getting emotional and just basically, wanting to hire somebody.
Lost you there.
I just wanted to hire somebody so bad because I've been so busy, and I just, I just can't handle it. But, I took advice, your advice, and I went through 160 resumes.
Nice.
I took it down to 9 candidates. One already found a job. So I had 8 interviews, and then I broke it down to 3 people. And I sent them the 3 people the KPA that I felt, that were good. 2 of them scored high. Well, one scored high, one scored medium, the other one scored low. The one that I thought was a superstar scored low, which I was totally floored. I was already going to make the hiring decision and just hiring her. But thank God I didn't. But then, I have a coach, and he brought up to my attention that maybe I should have them to see if they're really serious, read the book, The Force Multiplier. So, nice. and so the person who scored high took that challenge. The other person didn't, reply back to me. So after she finishes reading that, we're going to go through her KPA, possibly like Monday or Tuesday of next week.
Awesome. And definitely try to take that time to go through all 4 of those interviews in the KPA, right? Don't sidestep those. Each of those 4 things allow you to discover so much more about the people. And I'll give you, for instance, during my last team leader search, I might have mentioned I had 2 great candidates, but neither were a fit for that market center. One has gone on and we introduced him to another market center, and he's going to become team leader of another market center. So there may be a time where it's the right person, but just not for that right opportunity. So when you come across great talent, if they're not a fit for you, they may be a fit for someone else that you're in business with. So as you go through the process, you get to learn more about them to figure out where are the best places to put someone. Awesome. Thank you, Billy. Anyone else have any experiences since CV?
Well, Mike, I'll just share with you, as you know, I've hired a lot of people, and yeah, I guess the short answer that you're teaching, that you're going for, and I'm back here to the class again after many, many times, is stick to what Michael is saying. You'll successfully fail by thinking, as Billy just did, is I thought it was the great person, and turns out that maybe it wasn't. And sometimes it's just something going on in their life when they were going through the KPA, and I'm sure Michael will speak to that also.
Right. Yep. Yeah. We always. That's why the validating the KPA is so important, because if they are going through some type of a stress in life, that KPA might not be as perfect. So the validation is so very important. So awesome. So you guys came through CV. Some of you have had the chance to use it, and now we're going on to the next section. What's the title of today's session? Again, there you go. Michael Guerra is doing some sign language for me. 30, 60, 90. I don't know how you pull off 30, 60, 90 with 10 fingers, but Michael, you did it, man. You killed it. I'm just putting up my chat box here too. So if you want to chat, good morning, Julie Corbo. Good to see you in the chat box. If you want to chat, feel free to engage via chat. Today is going to be 2 action-packed days today, 3.5 hours right now. 2.5 hours, 10:30 to 1 is 30, 60, 90. We will take a brief break right around 11:40, 11:45. Recharge the battery, then come back. That'll probably be somewhere around 8 to 10 minutes. Then we'll come back and definitely be done by 1. And then tomorrow we're doing success through others, which is how you lead them. So today focuses on, do you want to say that, Emily? Right. We have a bunch of folks on the call that did not register. At least they did not register under the name you're using. So if you registered under a different name or someone registered for you, she will let you know. She will put the link in the chat, and she will shoot you a note if we don't have you registered privately, so that way you can work that out with Emily. But I guess we. Right. So again, somehow some folks are, hey, love to have you here. But if you did not register, no offense, the folks paid $50 to be on this call. So if you do want to stay on the call, we ask that you register for that. And if you think you did register, you're not sure what happened, then just feel free to privately interact with Emily, and you guys can work that all out. All right. That being said, let's jump in. So I'm going to throw the PowerPoint up for a few minutes. And again, like last time, I'm going to go back and forth between the PowerPoint and the workbook. So did everyone get the workbook? Did everyone get the workbook? Yes, no, maybe, indifferent? As I go to the PowerPoint, I can only see 5 people when I go to the PowerPoint. So just to let you know, actually I see Joe DeVito, Marilyn, Christina, and Claudia are the 4 people that are in my view right now. How are you guys? I always like to let you know who you are. Because I would love it if you interact, because you're the only 4 that I see. So today, where is it? Come on. Trying to pull full screen up. There it is. All right. Can you guys see that okay?
Yep.
Today is 30, 60, 90. And this session, 30, 60, 90, is all about building momentum. You've taken this tremendous amount of time during the interview process. About how much time did you spend with a single candidate during the interview process? Roughly. When we talked about that, a single candidate will be about 12 to 15 hours. I heard 13 hours there. About 12 to 15 hours is how much time you spent with them in the interview process. And now you're bringing them into business with you. You made them the offer. You set everything up, and they're coming in, and they're coming on for their first date. And this whole thing is all about stair-stepping from where you are to where you're going. You know, Billy said it before. He was kind of crazy and insane, a lot of stuff going on. And Gary Keller talks about, if you're doing everything you can, and you just can't do anymore, it means you're probably missing a relationship. So you're bringing them up, you're bringing them on, and now you're going to the next step in your process. You know, you've identified the person, you've identified the role that you're putting the person into, and at this point you felt that they're a fit. Now you've got to make sure that they can do the job you've hired them for. So this first 90 days reveals a ton about the candidate, a ton about how accurate the information was that you discovered during the process, and what you do with them right now. And how this all fits together is, again, we started with CV, which is finding and hiring talent. Now we're going to train them. Now here's the challenge. You can't skip any pieces of this, because I've seen great people get hired that were trained poorly and they failed. I've seen average people get hired that were trained well and they succeeded at a high level. So you've dedicated the time to selecting the person. Make sure you're dedicating the time in order to train and develop them. And keep in mind, I would tell you, in the first 45 to 60 days, you're probably going to invest somewhere between 30 to 40 hours. 30 to 40 hours in the first 45 days on this person. So make sure you're taking the time and walking through this process well, because you can have an amazing person. If you don't train them, they have a high chance of failing. Has anyone ever experienced that? Has anyone ever experienced a time where I see Billy raising your hand, where you weren't trained well and had struggled at something, or you hired someone and didn't train? Billy, tell us about your experience. You raised your hand pretty quick there.
So I'm a total A personality. So I start a lot of things and I don't finish them. Mm-hmm. And the person who was working for me is very structured, and she was just getting frustrated that I was having her, do things and then I wouldn't follow up or, see, what she did and things of that nature, which, she was 100% correct. I'm here trying to make deals happen so she can process it, so I can pay her, and then I'm hearing her, that how, and then she's like reaping me one, which I had to bite my tongue in. I have to learn how to be better. And so, yeah.
And with that, this happens with A personalities quite a bit. I've been given the description as a seagull. I'm often referred to as a seagull. I swoop in, I drop all over everybody, and then I fly out. So for
Yeah.
us A personalities might be able to appreciate that analogy. And that's where I've got to catch myself. Is I'll come in, I'll throw something at someone, and just then fly out and hope you figure it out. Whereas when you're training someone, that first day, that first couple of days, that first week, you've got to be a little bit more patient. You know, again, for us A personalities, as Billy put it, or us DIs, we've got to make sure we're dedicating the time to sit with the person, to show them what they need to be shown, to walk them through something. So this is a moment where you got to kind of slow down, bring yourself back, and make sure you're developing the person properly. So when you're hiring someone, put some time on the calendar of set aside of when you're going to spend time with them in the first couple of weeks. Barry sent me a private message commenting on the seagull approach. So what it might look like that first day with a new hire, you might spend a couple of hours with the person the first day. And then you might put them with some other folks that first day, that first couple of days. If I'm to map out the perfect week, you almost want to spend 3 hours the first day, and then about an hour to an hour and a half each additional day for the first week. Just kind of ramp them up. We'll talk more about that as we go here. So again, when we're looking at the career visioning process, going back and reminding ourselves that we're the 4 stages, right? The screen, the interview, the perspective, and the commitment. That entire process was all about them, all about the candidate. This 30, 60, 90 is all about you. So again, you were looking to understand them in the CV process. But now you want to complete the paperwork, set expectations, build out that 90-day plan where you can evaluate their talent, and then ensure ongoing alignment. So this next 90 days is all about confirming that they are a match for you and are a match for your business. We're on page 17 in the book in case you're trying to follow along at home. In the first 90 days, I love this statement. In the first 90 days, you have the unique opportunity to build the foundation for a lasting relationship, in working together. I love this on page, let me see if this next slide talks about, doesn't know. I love this on page 17. The first 90 days, you can verify what you uncovered in the hiring process. You can lead your new hire to build success habits. This is your chance. They're going to either create the best habits in the first 90 days, or they're going to create the worst habits in the first 90 days. So this is kind of your unique time to make sure you're setting and correcting expectations to ensure success. We could repeatedly evaluate how they perform against the goals in the career growth initiative, appraise their actions. Again, appraise their actions when they're faced with challenges. In this first 90 days, you want to either reinforce the things they're doing well or correct the things that they are not doing well. Feedback, that consistent feedback loop is super important. Someone is trying to request access to my TV. I'm going to deny that. That would have been really interesting, whoever was trying to hack my TV. You can constantly give them feedback, and then during that first 90 days especially, you assess how they engage in all aspects. And for most of us in the states we're in, what's that date on the calendar you want to circle? From 1 to 90, what's the very important date? What date on the calendar do you want to circle? Day 89. Circle day 89, set yourself a reminder, set yourself a big video to catch yourself, because at day 89, you've got to make a decision. Is this person everything I expect them to be, and am I ready to move forward? Or do I need to cut bait and run right now? And why is day 89 so important? For most of us, what happens at day 90? Joe, you've been in the legal field. What happens at day 90?
Unemployment kicks in.
Yeah, at day 90, if you get out of business, that first 89 days is at-will employment. Either party can sever it. At day 90, if you part with them at day 90 or beyond, you're responsible for any unemployment claim that they have. And again, that in some areas, you might actually have to write some checks. It might increase some of your unemployment insurance that you pay for. So there's some more costs that you have access to. And Aaron, are you listening to me over there? Aaron's in the next room. You guys remember Aaron from last time? How many times have I asked you what date is day 89, day 90? Have we done it a few times? Yeah. Probably she's laughing. It's probably 3 or 4 times. You know, in the last 2 years, probably. So again, we've held them to a high standard where I've said, come day 89, if they're not ready, we're going to let them go. And you know, she jokes, it might have been 4 in the last 12 to 18 months that we've terminated at day 90 because they went at day 89 because they weren't quite there. So again, you're seeing enough in this 8 to 9 days to judge whether they have the capacity to support you. So write down that word, capacity. I look to identify their capacity in the first 9 days. I'm going to stop sharing for a second here. I look to identify their capacity in the first 90 days. How much can I put on them before they completely unravel or call uncle? Because the more I can put on them in the first 90 days, the more I can have them grow with me. If I find them breaking or stressing or having challenges in that first 89 days, it's going to be an issue. I look for a lot of feedback of the people they work with in the first 89 days. And if I start getting people saying, ooh, wow, not sure, don't really know her that well or him that well, if I start getting a lack of positive feedback, that's something that I identify and I get concerned about. So that first 89 days is very important to determine whether or not you want to continue with this person. Where is it? There it is. All right. All right. There we go. I love this. I love this. And, you know, kind of star this page. This is in the old action focused training. We used to call this the path of a self-managed individual. The path of a self-managed individual. In the beginning, it's your job. You're owning the job. You're spending a lot of time in the job. You're spending a lot of time supporting and supervising them while they're spending less time. Right around day 58, 59, if you kind of draw a line right in the middle there, right around day 58, 59, you should feel a difference. You should noticeably feel that, wow, this person's starting to get it. You're going to start seeing your time with that person reduce, and they're going to just start figuring things out. That's that nexus that you want to identify. So when you hire this person, on day 1, sit in front of your calendar and on your calendar, go out to day 58, 59, or 60 and mark a circle, set yourself a reminder because that's an assessment opportunity. How are they doing? Are they getting it at day 60? Am I working on them less and they're taking control more? Because if they're doing that right at day 60, then you know by day 90, it's them. They've earned it. It's their job. It's no longer your job. But if you realize at day 60, wow, I'm still spending a lot of time on this person, you've got to identify what do I need to do with this person in the next 29 days to see if they can take the job from me or am I taking the job back? So this page, to me, is very, very cool. And I love the analogy underneath of it. You know, think of the process of teaching a child to ride a bike. When the child's new to the bike, you provide the training wheels, first-hand guidance, plenty of support. Who's ever taught a kid how to ride a bike? How many times do you run behind them holding that back seat and then let it go and you're still making sure that they don't fall off? And that moment where you let go and they just keep going, that's day 60. That's what you're feeling at day 60. You're feeling like you're letting go of the bike and they're driving off and you don't have to worry about making sure they don't fall off at that point. So I love that visual. Having that in your head is kind of your way of knowing that you've got the right person. If not, you've got about 29 more days in order to correct the behavior. I do want to take a second here. On page 21. On page 21, there's this 30, 60 days to achievement habits. 30, 60 days to achievement habits. Does anyone want to volunteer and read at least the first 3 paragraphs of this? I get a volunteer to read the first 3 paragraphs?
I will.
Rebecca, you're awesome. If you can read from as a team leader to the end of that 3rd paragraph that ends with high accountability. Now I'm going to ask for a volunteer to read the next 3 paragraphs. And if you could, as we go through these, I want you to underline or circle anything that jumps out at you. Go for it, Rebecca.
As team leader of the Market Center in Arlington, Texas, Smokey Garrett achieved tremendous success. He implemented tools and systems to grow the Arlington office from 400th in the system to #1 in terms of profitability and profit share. In his current role of operating partner for this Market Center, Smokey understands that hiring the right person to the team leader role and empowering them to get into productivity quickly is critical to its ongoing success. Any falter in growth or any loss of market share could challenge the Market Center's ability to provide its agents with the most powerful leverage possible. Additionally, with its stellar trajectory, the Arlington Market Center has attracted attention. Even small setbacks could have exponential ramifications. Always one to turn to proven systems to generate success, Smokey built his 30-60-90 plan for his current team leader, Dennis Tuttle, around high expectations and high accountability.
Awesome. Thank you. Get another volunteer to read the next 3 paragraphs. This is the easiest part of your day right now.
I'll do it.
Thank you, Michael.
As a former ALC member in the Market Center, Dennis knew the monthly goals for the office's 4 conversations of the growth initiative, appointments, gross, net, and profit, were high, expected, and achievable through regular activities. Dennis had used the fully aligned systems, tools, and conversations of the growth initiative in his own business, and he had learned from Smokey's model. However, Dennis still had to build the habit of daily activities to meet Market Center goals. To support Dennis in this endeavor, Smokey held him accountable every day during his initial 90 days. Those first days were tough on both Dennis and Smokey. Dennis was held accountable to high achievement from day one in his role, and Smokey made time every single day to hold Dennis accountable and to consult him as needed. The upfront investment paid off significantly in long-term results. In those 90 days, Dennis built the habits necessary for consistent achievement and to fully own his role, and the results continue to be readily apparent in Arlington's numbers. The office remains solidly #1 in its market. Additionally, in 2016, through a total of 595 appointments, the leadership team added 266 agents to their Market Center, netted 79 agents, and their owner profit was $1.4 million. This led to $1.4 million being shared back to their agents in profit share in just 1 year.
Arlington continues to be a market center in which agents can build legacies worth leaving. Its reputation thrives because of the OP. Smokey diligently passes a legacy of achievement and accountability to talented hires like Dennis through laser-focused 30-60-90. Anything? Did you underline or circle anything in that? Anything jump out at you in that little case study? Any ahas in that? I mean, I can tell you, they went from what's that, Joe?
No, I was going to say the thing that stood out to me was that he sat there every single day for 90 days, holding them accountable. I think that's pretty strong.
Yeah. You know, it's again, that first 90 days, you're training them expectations-wise on what they're going to get from you and what you expect from them. So, I mean, this is part of what took this Market Center from number 400 in the company to number 1. I mean, think about that growth for a second, 400 to 1. And it started with making sure there was every single day, Michael, every single day accountability. Now, you've got to look at what role you're hiring. What role are you hiring? And is every single day important? Is 3 days a week important? Is once a week important? But I think during that first 90 days, even if it's a 5 or 10 minute check-in, there should be some type of accountability every single day when you're hiring that new person. Again, even if it's just a brief little check-in. Anyone else have any thoughts to share on that? Like, you know, here's the challenge with it. If we skip either of these things, the CV process and this, there's nothing more painful than being 75 days into the process and realizing you've got to go back and start it all over again because you hired the wrong person. So if you've spent the time on career visioning, make sure we're spending the time here, because the only thing more painful than investing this time in the first 90 days is going back all the way to the beginning and start generating candidates again and go through the CV process again, only to come back and repeat the 30, 60, 90 because we didn't do it as well as we could have the first time. Right? Any other thoughts? All right. Come on. There it goes. Oh. New hires, again, when it's a new hire, you want to evaluate whether to continue business with them at the end of each 30-day interval. Again, so 30 days in, how are they doing? What have they learned? What do they need? 60 days in, you should be feeling that them riding the bike by themselves at that point. You should feel a little bit of relief. Then at 90 days is that hard line, 8 to 9 days. What do you want to do with this person at this time? Any aha so far from our first session here, from our first little introduction? Anything jump out at you? Anything you say, okay, good to think about?
Hi, Michael.
Hey, Sinead.
For me, it was setting time aside every week to sit with them and go through what they're doing and hold them accountable that way.
Yep. Yeah,
So
there's this great document. I'm not sure if it's going to come up in here or not. It's kind of an older document, but you can still find it on KW Connect. It's called the Cash Talk. The Cash Talk, and it's spelled K-A-S-H. K-A-S-H. Emily, when you get a chance, just check KW Connect to see if it's there somewhere. And it's knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits. Knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits. And it's something I've used quite a bit over the years, where I have them hand that in to me every Friday. At the end of every Friday, they complete it. What knowledge have they gained this week that's helping them do their job? What knowledge do they still feel is lacking? What have they learned about their attitude in the job that they've learned this week that's helpful, and what do they think is lacking? And then skills and habits. So that's a great way, Sinead, to structure that weekly accountability session. So I would have them send it to me on a Friday. I'd look at it over the weekend. When we kicked off Monday, I kick off Monday with a review of that and some game plan for the next week and how we can help them take their knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits to the next level.
Thank you.
So take a look at the Cash Talk worksheet. If Emily finds it, she'll throw it up here. And if not, it's going to be in my Dropbox somewhere, so I can always grab that later on and send it out to you afterwards. Thank you for that, Sinead. Anyone else have any ahas or thoughts from this first session? Chapter 1.
Love the bike analogy, Mike.
Yeah, it was a good visual, right, Barry? You know,
Yeah. I mean, the
we can all
graph,
appreciate
graph is great also, and that just enforces it. And we're actually in probably day 45 or so with our new admin, and it was just, positive reinforcement, so it was great.
Awesome, awesome. Do you feel them getting a little steadier on the bike? 45 days in, are you seeing them taking a little more control, meaning less hand-holding? Do you see the improvement so far?
Well, I'm fortunate enough to say that that is just a question of, integration and working together to each other's systems. But she hit the ground running, and it just gets better. So we're happy.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you, Barry. And Julie Corbell, thanks for that post. Without a doubt, follow the process. There are no shortcuts. On page 27, if you want to take a second, feel free to answer those questions for yourself. What you learn in the chapter, how will it impact your business, and what do you need to maximize the impact on your business? This is one session where we want you to take a moment at the end of each chapter in order to kind of solidify what you've learned. So take a minute and do that. So page 31. And I love this, this is page 31. It's your first day on the job. You walk into the office and find your supervisor. She walks you around, introduces you to the team. Then she hands you a list of training videos that she'd like you to watch online. She says that she got a lot going on. Well, she'll be sure to check in on your progress in the coming week. Now let's try that again. Let's say it's your first day on the job. Your supervisor greets you first thing when you arrive that morning. She says, based on the conversations we've had leading up to today and the requirements of the role you've agreed to be hired for, I've come up with a plan to help you succeed. Then she hands you a set of goals and a training plan that clearly specifies what you expect. Back in the old action-focused training, I tried finding it this morning. I couldn't. There was this great story. That kind of went something like this. It's your first day on a new job. You walk in to find that your supervisor is away on vacation that week. Someone leads you to your desk and you sit down. As you go and sit down at your desk, you start cleaning out your desk and find a bunch of business cards of Henry in your desk. Later on in the morning, your phone rings. Someone's asking for Henry. And you tell them that Henry no longer works there, but is there anything you could do to help them? Lunchtime comes and goes, and no one's there to greet you, so you go out and have lunch by yourself. As you progress toward the tail end of the day, you go out to your car only to find that your car was towed away because you parked in a no parking area, and the security guard drives you to the local impound lot. Is that what you want? So I create that vision to kind of reinforce, if you don't map out that first day is so important. It's going to help them decide whether or not they made the right decision or whether or not they should be questioning the decision they made. You know, we always make a point on someone's first day of scheduling it when their supervisor or whoever they're reporting to is going to be there. Who's taking them for lunch their first day? I see Erin nodding her head out there. Who's taking them for lunch the first day? Who's taking them for lunch the second day? What's that? Really? You have to bring it up right now? She made a point to remind me that I was away on vacation her first day on the new job. That was different then. And she's still with me. So this is evidence that even if you don't follow it perfectly, you can still succeed with the process. More good than bad. So again, you want to look at that first day and say, how can I structure this first day for it to be a meaningful first day for my candidate, for my new hire? All right. So step one, as we go back into this chapter now. Okay, I mean, this is a great statement. Powerful 30, 60, 90 plan ensures your new hire masters their 20%, proves their value. Again, this all gives you something to measure up to. So step number one, complete the paperwork. Do you have SMART goals? Do you have SMART goals in your hires 20%? What do we mean by SMART? This isn't rocket science. It's actually right on your screen. This is a great time to be interactive. What does S stand for?
Specific.
Specific. Are the goals specific? You know, are they detailed or are they just, you know, broad? What does M stand for?
Measurable.
Measurable. It establishes concrete criteria for measuring the progress. Where are we now? Where does this person need to be in 30 days and 60 days and 90 days? Are they what's A stand for?
Achievable.
Achievable. Thank you, Claudia. Achievable. They should be challenging, but if they're a match for your candidate's knowledge, skills, habits, and behavior, they should be challenging but achievable. Make sure we're not setting up something that's so hard that only a very few people can actually get to it. What does the R stand for?
Repeatable.
Repeatable. Yep. Just kind of like this is. We're repeating it here. You know, that it can be done and reach and accomplish over and over again, and hopefully done in what kind of a fashion?
Timely.
A timely fashion. You know, what is the deadline? What's urgent? What's not urgent? Now, here's something that I talk about with my staffs quite a bit. I like everyone on my staff to have 3 lists. Have 3 lists in front of them. Whenever I give them something, it should go on their I need this done today list, or I need this done this week list, you know, by the end of the day Friday, or this is when you've got some time on your schedule and nothing else to do, here's our someday wish list. So whenever I give anything, I have them put it on one of these 3 lists. That way we can kind of identify whether or not this is today. Because in my position, when I give someone something, they're always going to put it on the top of their list because they're going to assume if I'm giving it to them, I want it done right away. So if I don't, I've got to be careful, because if I'm throwing that on them and other things, no one's going to be able to get everything done the same day that I throw at them. So I need to make sure that they know what is the timely expectation I have with that particular task. Make sense? Questions on that?
Michael, what about repeatable? Can you talk a bit about repeatable?
Well, I mean, for the team leader, for instance, we'll use team leader as an example. You know, but by the end of the 90 days, I expect the team leader to be able to accomplish 40 appointments a month, and then repeat 40 appointments a month each month thereafter. Let's take an executive assistant. I expect, you know, in the first 2 to 3 weeks, the executive assistant to be ready to, I'm talking about for real estate team, to be ready to deliver feedback to all of our listings every Tuesday. And once they learn how to deliver feedback to our listing clients every Tuesday, I expect them to repeat that every Tuesday. Everyone that you're in business with is going to have a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly task list. So what are the things they have to do each day? Check the voicemail, fill the paper, return messages, follow up on emails, schedule appointments. What are the things they do weekly? Follow up with sellers, check in on buyers, check in on contracts. What are the things they do monthly, quarterly, so on and so forth. So there's very few roles we're hiring that has a different thing happening every day. Gary will often say success is pretty boring. The most successful people do the same thing over and over and over again. Then they try that shiny new object to see if it works, only to find out it doesn't. And then they come back to the same boring routine and doing that same thing over and over and over again. Does that make sense, Michael?
Yes.
Repeatable?
Yes, thank you.
You got it. So, on page 37, it talks about constructing your 3690 with SMART goals. So again, reviewing your materials. Revisit your GPS. What's a GPS?
Goals, priority, strategies.
Joe's like, I'll unmute and answer again because nobody else is doing it. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate your interaction. GPS is goals, priority, strategies. I also learned it as the 1-3-5. I'm gonna unmute because I think I want to take a quick stop here. By a show of hands, I got 25 of you on my main screen now. By a show of hands, who knows what the GPS is? Okay, we're about half. So I'm gonna take a quick second. I apologize for those of you that do know. I just want to explain it for those that don't know. A GPS, I also call as a 1-3-5, is what's my one big goal? What's that one thing that if I do it, I'm going to be successful no matter what? What's the one thing if I accomplish this year, am I going to be very, very happy? So for most real estate professionals, this is probably a sales volume, a sales unit, or a GCI goal is what it is for most real estate salespeople. In order to accomplish this one big goal, what are the 3 priorities? Priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. What are the 3 priorities I need to focus on to be able to succeed and hit this big goal? So again, if for a sales agent, this is GCI, sales volume, or units, what do you think are the 3 priorities for successful real estate agents?
Appointments.
Listing appointments.
Leads, listings, and leverage. You might have heard that term before. Where have we seen that term, leads, listings, and leverage?
MREA.
MREA. So I heard appointments quick. Appointments are part of this. So, in essence, for me to hit this, how many appointments do I need per day, per week, per month? What are some of the other lead generation strategies I'm going to use to do this, right? How many listings do I need a year? And what are the 5 strategies I'm going to encompass to be able to hit my listing goal? What are the 5 strategies I'm going to hit my leverage leads goal? And what are the 5 strategies I'm going to employ to hit my leverage goal? Again, this could be command, admin, transaction coordinator, so on and so forth. This could be housekeeper, runner. Leverage could be anywhere in your life, not necessarily just your business. So one big goal, 3 priorities with 5 strategies for each one. Now, there's been times where I've had a 1-9-4 because I had a couple of different things I had to get into place in order to succeed. So you want to look at your GPS for your business, number 1. And then as part of this 30-60-90, you want to figure out what's the one big goal I have for this person in this next 90 days. Well, what do I want to see from this role in the next 90 days? For me to see that, what are some of the priorities they need to focus on, and what are those 5 things? And this kind of gives you an accountability tool of how are you doing on this topic? How are you doing on this topic? Just to make sure that they're developing things the right way. Make sense, GPS?
Hey, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something you put together and then you look at 12 months from now, right?
Yeah, I didn't know, Sam. How often do you think we look at that?
Every single day.
Every single day, without a doubt, at least once a week. When I hired my team leader here in Morristown, we did a GPS in the first 2 weeks, and that was our weekly conversation. How are we doing with this? How are we doing with that? How are we doing with this? If your business is off back at the end of May, we go back. What did we all do back in October, November? What did we all do back in October, November in order to prepare for 2020?
Wrote the business plan, did the GPS.
We set our goals for the year. We created a business plan. We organized what we wanted to accomplish in 2020 and put that business plan together, or the GPS. What did we all do right around April 1st of 2020? We ripped them up and threw them away because we realized they were gone. And then we revised them around April 1st. And around June 1st, we revised them again. And really, hopefully, many of us are working off of a business plan that we reconstructed as of June 1st. Because what we knew we can accomplish this year in June was very different than what we were hoping to accomplish back in November. So again, you look at these daily, but definitely weekly at minimum. Weekly at minimum, daily preferred. Great comment, Sam. Thank you for that. Any other thoughts, comments, or questions on GPS? All right. So again, we're going to review the materials. You're going to identify and revisit the GPS, your GPS, as well as starting to identify the GPS for them. In order to achieve it, you need someone to drive each of them. So who in your org chart is going to help you? My guess is if you're hiring an admin, guys, if you're hiring an admin, then you look at this leverage piece, right? Really, the admin should be part of accomplishing your GPS down here. So if you need leverage, what is it? Is it command? Is it marketing? Is it tracking your lead generation model? Then your admin, their 3 priorities might be command, marketing, and your lead gen model. So if this is an admin you're hiring, then they might be taking one of your 3 priorities, and that priority becomes their one thing. They put then they create priorities around that and strategies around each priority. Make sense? So we've got a meeting later on today. We just hired a director of agent services in one of our market centers. So we're actually getting together with the rest of the staff today. We're actually making the staff part of the 30, 60, 90 creation. What are some of the things you're hearing we're lacking when it comes to agent services? What is this person's job going to look like? What gaps do they need to fill? And based on that, what do we need them to develop and understand over the first 90 days? So the 90 days for this person, one of the priorities is going to be, command engagement. How many opportunities we have on average per person? How many contacts each person has in their database? So some of the measurable categories we're going to be developing today are going to be around command engagement for this director of agent services and technology. Make sense? Examine the job profile of each person. Where do you find the job profiles? Anyone know where we find those?
KW Connect.
Thank you, Sinead. KW Connect, go to Career Visioning. We were there just 3 weeks ago. Go into course materials. There's a document you download which gives you a link to a whole folder. And I believe we've sent that to you as well as part of that course, if I recall. And then review the goals you share with the candidate during the commitment step of the Career Visioning. Number 2, go and download the 30, 60, 90 day for the role. Go and download the 30, 60, 90 day plan for the role. Where do we find this?
KW Connect.
You got it. So let's just go here 1 second. I lost my Zoom. So I'm actually going to go to KW Connect. I'm going to make it easy as possible anyway. Come on. Mega Camp early bird registration ends August 10th. Have you registered yet? I'm going to go and I'm going to look for 30, 60, 90. In the search results, I'm going to go here and I'm going to look at 30, 60, 90. Here's my course materials for 30, 60, 90. Here's my materials. Course materials page .pdf. I love this. There's got to be an easier way to do it. That this PDF just gives you a link. So when you go and click on this link, now bookmark this page. Bookmark this page on your computer so you always have it. And these are all the leverage resources. All the leverage resources. So I'm going to go and look 30, 60, 90 for an agent team. And here's your 30, 60, 90 for director of sales, expansion partner, director of lead gen, director of operations, buyer's agent. Let's look at the executive assistant real quick. This is a very, to me, I look at this as a somewhat basic. I'm actually, I gotta switch my screen sharing. So here's the basic. Here's 30-day goals. You know, on this, they put create email template to handle most frequent customer inquiries, create a system for handling financials, and effectively communicate to the team, create systems to manage buyer, sellers, lead gen, download Kelly. 60-day goal, 90-day goal. So again, what we're doing today is we're getting together with the rest of the staff for the role we're hiring. So this might be a time to get together with perhaps other team members and add some other 30-day goals, 60-day goals, 90-day goals. You know, under each goal might be some tasks that you can accomplish. You know, during the 30-day goals, I want them to go and watch certain videos and report back to me. Go and create a contact, create a marketing piece, so on and so forth. So there's some things you can put around this. So this gives you something to start with. And then this would be something that you go back and you revisit with them each week as you go through. Questions on that document or where you find it? We good? Thank you, Chatter. Where is my screen share? There it is. Going back to the PowerPoint. Okay, there we go. All right, so download the 30, 60, 90-day plan for the role. In that, you obviously want to look at those GPS, job profile, their goals, their role, your organization. Again, it's so important to meet with the rest of the team members to figure out where the gaps are and make sure the training of this person is going to help fill some of those gaps. So please mark this. Please mark this page as homework to do. We're not necessarily going to run and do this right now, but this is great homework for you to go back and look, think about a role you're hiring for, create one SMART goal for that role, so on and so forth. Actually, here in the book, just so you see, you've got a 30, 60, 90-day plan for a showing assistant. This is actually kind of cool. Go to page 43 for a second. 43 in a second. So this is a showing assistant 30, 60, 90. You can see what it looks like when it's a little bit more built out than the basic. You know, obtain the real estate license, shadow a buyer agent at least one time, shadow a buyer agent on 3 separate buyer showings, learn how to identify criteria of a home. So you can see a little bit more of a detailed 30, 60, 90-day plan here with the showing instructions, showing assist on around page 43. So again, go mark page 47 as homework to do in order to succeed at a high level with this person. This is so cool. When you're hiring someone, think about what training resources we already have available. Go on to KW Connect, see what courses we have, see what videos are there. Put on here links to some of those courses that they can take. Again, for the MREA, for the executive assistant, there are 4 MREA admin courses. Go and download each course, create the book, give them the book and have them self-teach. I am talking to a candidate about getting train the trainer done so they can start teaching some of those courses for the MREA. You know who you are. Thank you for that meeting you on Zoom a week ago. So, look at what are some of the training resources we have. What are the training resources your market center has? If it's an executive assistant, what command classes is your market center offering that you can sign them up for? What are command classes that maybe neighboring market centers are offering that you can sign them up for? This director of agent services will probably shadow another one of my director of agent services for 2 or 3 days. Oh, Dylan, by the way, mark it out on your calendar next week. If you're around, I'll come back and talk to you about that. But you might find that you do some cross shadowing with other teams, even to help train some of your team members. So really take some stock in some of the training resources that are available to you here. And don't underestimate what's available on KW Connect. That could be great training for your person. So again, on page 51, build that training plan. You know, go and look on KW Connect and what's available. Look at your market center training calendar. If you know you've got a certain role coming up that you're hiring for, go to your market center and say, hey, go to your team leader, go to your MCA, go to your OP and say, hey, I'm hiring this person next month. What on our training calendar do you think I should make sure I plug this person into? For instance, buyer's agents, make sure they're going to Ignite. Maybe the market center can schedule Win with Buyers next month if you've got a buyer agent coming on board. If you've got a listing specialist coming on board, maybe the market center can schedule Win with Sellers. So talk to the market center about perhaps adding some things to their training calendar that could support you in your 30, 60, 90-day plan for a new hire. If you have a MAPS coach, that's a great person to talk to. They may also have 30, 60, 90-day plans that they can share with you that might help you out. Also, find an accountability partner here on the call. Find an accountability partner here on the call. Go and watch the people that are engaging and interacting and say, hey, would you mind being my productivity partner that I can bounce some ideas off of? So any ahas from this chapter? It's just 2 ahas, and then we'll take a quick 10-minute break. 2 ahas, we'll take a quick 10-minute break.
For me, it was the GPS thing.
The GPS thing, you like that?
I like that very much, and it is so simple and so effective. It's like the precise thing that you should know, actually.
Yep. I mean, a lot of MAPS coaches teach the 4-in-1, the 4-1-1. I don't really think that way. I love the 1-3-5 or the GPS as a visible planning tool. And you'll see bubbles. I have bubbles on boards in my office, for goodness sakes, as I'm putting down 1-3-5s, because I use that for different roles, for different businesses. I use a 1-3-5 for, right now I've got about 5 different 1-3-5s. I've got a 1-3-5 for each market center, a 1-3-5 for the region, a 1-3-5 for my title company. I kind of use that as a business planning tool for all my different businesses.
Yeah, that's how I like it. It's simple, effective, and it's like just precise, you don't have to explain. And you can keep changing the 1-3-5s, like make it 7 or maybe, and for different areas of your life, could be business, personal, anything, and just, it's so effective.
Without a doubt. And it's interesting, when you've got someone doing the 1-3-5 and you go and say, hey, what'd you do this week? Well, I did this. Well, this isn't on the 1-3-5. So is this important enough that we should incorporate this into the 1-3-5 somewhere? Or is this a task you shouldn't be worried about right now because it's not in your 20%?
Exactly. Keeps you on track. It's the GPS. Yeah.
Yep. Julie Corbo, thank you for that. Julie's been an amazing OP with our company for what, Julie, 10, 11 years. I finally know where to find the job profiles. So it doesn't matter how long you are with our company and how successful you are. That's an example you can always learn, right, Julie?
Oh my God, it's like, finally I'm not in the dark anymore. Are you kidding? Wow, it's like epiphany. We have a sword. Thank you.
Thank you for being transparent, Julie. I always appreciate you. All right, guys, it's 11:26. Let's take a quick 10-minute break. This is just a good time for a break. We'll get back together at 11:36. We'll see you in a few. Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody? Can you hear me okay? Awesome. Thank you, Michael. I hope Chris Holmquist is doing okay. He is frozen on my TV. I don't know if he is on yours. If he's frozen on yours, please laugh at him because it's worth it and it's so funny. I've never seen someone freeze for that long. So, all right. Let's jumping into step two. Step two, set expectations. Set expectations. And all my years in real estate, and this is actually my 25th year I'm going into in real estate, 25 years. With all the challenges I've had, whether it's teams breaking up, listing agent and the seller, buyer's agent, ultimately the bulk of the problems I've ever seen in real estate ultimately comes to this topic. Expectations were not met. But I find that it's not that expectations were met. There were no expectations ever set to meet or not meet. So setting expectations, having a communication on expectations is so darn important. Let's see here. So we're not going to do the activity again. In order to do this course virtually in the amount of time that we put together, I tend to be skipping these activities. Please feel free to earmark these pages and come back to them. I'm skipping them for time, not because they're not important. So take a look at expectation conversation. Same thing. Review the GPS and job profile. Present the 30, 60, 90. Go through the details of the 30, 60, 90. Explain the 20%. Talk about earning the role. Actually, let's kind of go through this. Let's go through these conversations. I'm kind of going fast. Let's go through these one at a time. So I'm now jumping to page 65. 65. What I love about this is it gives you an outline. You know, the expectations conversation is going to be about an hour. You're going to put about an hour aside for this conversation. In that, you're going to have your GPS, their job profile, their goals, their 30, 60, 90, and their expectations conversation job aid. Where do you get the expectations conversation job aid? Do you remember where that was? Back at the very end of career visioning, just before you made them the offer, you go through the expectations conversation. How do you win with me? How do you lose with me? How do I win with you? How do I lose with you? So you want to come back and bring the expectations job aid into this, and then have these. Here are the steps. You know, here are the 5 steps. So step 1 is review the GPS, review the job profile, share your excitement, reaffirm the commitment, show them your GPS, read their job profile for the role. And again, in this, you've got some scripts in here on page 66. On page 66, hey, are you ready to get going? I'm super excited to have you here. Show them your GPS, point out your team's one big goal, the 3 priorities. What you're doing here in this part of the process is you're connecting them to the bigger goal of everybody. This is kind of a cultural move here. And then read over their job profile and describe how you expect their role to help the team achieve the goal. So for instance, here's the big goal. By you doing this, this, and this, you're helping me drive listings taken. By doing A, B, C, you're gonna help me close more listings. So you're kind of connecting their job to the bigger goals of the team. You can then present their 30, 60, 90-day goals. Here's the 30, 60, 90-day plan. Here's what we want you to accomplish. Here are some of the things that we're going to accomplish together. In this one, what chart might you want to have as part of this conversation? With the stuff we reviewed in the first hour or so of this session, what chart might you want to have available here?
GPS.
I'll give GPS, yes. You want to have the GPS. What I would also do is go back and find the that 90-day graph. That was my riding the bike graph. That one that shows around day 58. They should be running with it and taking the job. And at day 58, you should be managing them less. I'm going to show them that. I'm going to show them that. Let me actually go back to that. It's worth going back to it. Hey, I got it. I'm going to talk to them here about that. Hey, you know what? This is why the 90-day plan is being developed. Right now, I'm doing this. Thank you, Ryan, page 69. Right now, this is my job. My goal over the next 90 days is you earn the job. So here's the first 30 days. Here's the second 30 days. And then I might actually draw a line for them right here. You know, around day 58, you're going to feel some discomfort in the first 60 days. And that's okay. It's a new job. You're learning new things. That's to be expected. But right around that 60-day mark, you should be feeling much more confident with the job. And you should kind of be running with the job more than I'm running with the job. And if we find mutually around day 58, 59 that you're still feeling uncomfortable, we're going to talk about what we need to accomplish together in that next 30 days for this to be a win for both of us. Because if we're not full steam ahead by that day 85, day 90, and you're feeling good about the job and I'm feeling good about what you're doing, then this might not be a match. But I'm moving forward with the expectation that we're going to rock this next 90 days. And I'm going to be using this graph as a way to measure how we're doing at day 30, at day 58, at day 60, at day 90. Does that sound fair to you, Mr. New Hire? That makes sense? How I would use this graph in that discussion? What have I also just set myself up for? What have I also just set myself up for?
Not to be the bad guy when you fire them.
Yeah, I've set myself up for what could be a tough conversation at day 60. I've kind of let them know day 60 is an important day that we should be tracking. I've set myself up for a tough conversation and a graceful exit perhaps at day 90 if I need it. So yeah, so there shouldn't be a surprise. Now, I'm not going to say if you're not rocking it by day 90, we're out of here. I'm saying by day 60, we should both be feeling really good and confident. And if not, let's talk about that and figure out what needs to be fixed. Because if by day 90 we can't, then we might need to talk about other options. You know, I'm not drawing a line in the sand. I'm not creating fear, but I am creating an expectation for the first 90 days. Make sense?
Mike?
Joe.
Question. How many items would you say would be a fair amount for each 30, 60, 90 days to set expectations so that you don't really go overboard in what you expect from them?
Good question, Joe. How many items? What role are we talking about?
Well, I mean, it don't really matter the role. I just, you know, I mean, some of us leaders can get a little crazy in terms of what we expect from others. And, you know, I guess I wanted a little bit of guidance in terms of saying, okay, what should I really expect from somebody in 30 days and not, you know, make it so, you know, going back to the SMART goals, you know, trying to figure out what that achievable number really is. You know, I mean, you know, I'm just trying to get some guidance in terms of not being too much of a hard ass as a leader.
Yep. Great question, Joe. I've actually never had that question while teaching this course, but I think if we look at the 20%, I think the 20% is what we want to focus on. You know, what's in the 20% for this role? And by the end of 90 days, they should have confidence in being able to deliver their 20%. So for instance, for a team leader, at the end of 90 days, they should have enough momentum to be able to hit 40 appointments between 90 and 120. So I would expect them to be at day 90 ready to hit 40 appointments. At day 90, they should be able to have a needs analysis consulting conversation. They should be able to have a tech consultation. They should be able to have those 4 key conversations. They should be able to teach a class. So if I look at a team leader, the team leader's 20% is growth, consulting the top 20% and educating the top 20%, as well as leading the staff. I don't necessarily expect them to be leading the staff at a high level at day 90, but I would expect to see the ability to get appointments, the ability to teach a class, the ability to consult. For Director of Agent Services, I would expect them to be able to take me through the 10 key features of command. Emily, are you out there? She just left. Stephen Gendel is not on this call. I can get a survey out to you of what those 10 features of command are.
Well, let me ask you this. So let's say a buyer's agent, right? So like a buyer's agent in New York might be slightly different in terms of what you expect than you, let's say, I don't know, Florida or Texas, because just the market, some of the price points, you can do a lot more units at a $250 price point, $250,000 price point than you can at a $600,000 price point. So to be fair to, let's say, a buyer's agent on a team and who's someone who doesn't really have, much experience, to say, okay, in the first 30 days, I expect you to do whatever, one deal. By the end of 90 days, I expect you to, to have, let's say, 4 on the contract. Just trying to get a little guidance in terms of.
Yeah, so if I use the Gene Rivers approach, Joe, at the end of 90 days, he expects buyer agents to be able to write 2 contracts a month past 90 days.
Okay.
So he'll tell you at the 90-day mark, they should be ready to write 2 contracts a month, commit to 2 open houses a month, make a certain amount of lead generation calls, and be able to do a great buyer consultation. Might be the 4 things I would have as my milestones at day 90.
Got it.
For a listing assistant. Okay. So in order for them to do that at day 90, how many buyer appointments must they shadow? How many showings must they shadow? How many previews must they have? I'm going to look at the skills they need to get to that point, and that's going to be my 30, 60, 90-day milestones, is them learning those skills. But at day 90, they should be ready to do that. An executive assistant should be able to know all of the paperwork necessary for a listing and a buyer by day 90.
So hold on, you said something pretty good actually right there. So basically what you're saying
let's
is
stop and revisit that.
so when you hire somebody, right? So I guess the aha I had is that when you first hire somebody, regardless of the position, I mean, the first 30 to 60 days should be more of a ramping up educational, habitual type training expectation. And then by 90, actually getting, full throttle in that role in terms of executing appointments, closings, contracts, et cetera.
Yeah, exactly, Joe. So really where we're starting this is, what do we want to see happening at day 90? So what skills do they have to develop in the first 30, 60 to be able to hit that at day 90? So again, I don't expect team leaders to have 40 appointments in their 3rd month. I expect them to have 40 appointments in their 4th month and have enough skill where I know that pipeline's going.
Right, and have that energy build up.
How do I know that's going to happen? Well, they did 40 inside appointments in the 1st month. In the 2nd month, they did 30 inside, 10 outside. In the 3rd month, they did 10 inside with 30 outside. In the 4th month, they're going for 40. So I know they've been committed to the number 40, and they've been building up their skills internally first, externally second, to be able to hit that. If I know in the 3rd month, they've got 5 inside and 7 outside, we're not hitting 40 in the 4th month. In the 4th month, so I'm gonna pull the ripcord there. Make sense?
Yeah.
Now I'll give you a quick, for instance. I have one market center. This year to date, they've averaged 3 gross per month. 3 gross per month. Now, for those that don't know, gross is new agent hires. Gross hire is an agent added to a market center, agent joined a market center. We've averaged 3 gross a month this year. Previous years, my team leader was averaging no more than 4 gross a month. 4 gross a month for the year and a half previous to this year. So me and the team leader had conversations. We decided to part ways in the end of June. So we parted ways June. I brought on an assistant team leader. I haven't hired a team leader there. If you know anyone looking for a team leader opportunity in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, let me know. I've got a great team leader opportunity there in Basking Ridge. So we hired an assistant team leader. She was the productivity coach, became assistant team leader. July was her 1st month. Guess how many gross hires she hit in her 1st month? Market Center averaged 3 this year, averaged 4 the last 2 years. A brand new assistant team leader with no experience. Gross hires at 8. 8 her 1st month with 1 capper. She's projecting 8 this month with another $12 million capper. An assistant team leader, 1st month in the role, was hitting 8 and 8. And she said, oh, I'm getting agent referrals. The last team leader wasn't, doesn't matter. He would never hit 8. And this assistant team leader is going to hit it in the first 2 months. So by the way, can you imagine being a team leader of that market center, coming into the market center, knowing you have an assistant team leader that's already hitting 8 a month? So all you have to do is add another couple of quality ones to that. And that market center should be hitting 12 to 15 a month, probably in the next 60 days. So again, how do you know it's not a match and it is a match? here's how you know it. I gave this person the opportunity. She accepted it. She said, so this is Thursday, Friday. She accepted it. She said, when can I get on your calendar and come to your office on Monday to review the 30, 60, 90 with me? She actually asked me. She asked me if she can come meet with me whatever time works to be able to review the 30, 60, 90. Here's the other fun thing is she brought a 30, 60, 90 with her. She bought a 30, 60, 90 with her and said, this is my first take on this. Let me know what you think we should add. Again, we talk about talent versus non-talent. How do you know you hired talent? Is that a pretty good example of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool, right? So again, I want to give you that picture in order to illustrate the CV process, the right behavior, the right skills for the right role, and how a great 30, 60, 90 can lead to some immediate results. So, thank you, Joe, for that question and that aha. I appreciate it, bud.
Michael, quick question over here.
Shoot,
you mentioned there is we can understand if they are completing their 20% of their job, then it's like fine after 90 days. But where do we get to know that this is the 20% of every job profile, that they should be able to accomplish? Is there a document? Is there some sort of training material out there in KW Connect?
There's two documents I would look at, Saru. I would look at the job profile that was in Career Visioning. We'll have, what's important in this role. So in essence, the top 20%. So go and download the job profile. It will be in there. I would also go and download from kellerinc.com. kellerinc.com. If you go to Keller Inc. and go to books, MREA, there's the great download. I think I showed it to you all during the last session of the 192 tasks, the 192 tasks of the MREA. If you go there and download that spreadsheet for an executive assistant, it will have all of their tasks marked, but it'll have certain tasks marked with P, with priority.
Okay.
So on the 192 tasks, the P, the priority, are the things that are in the top 20% for each of those roles. And they have the priority for the executive assistant, for the transaction coordinator, for the listing assistant, for the buyer's agent. For every role on the mega agent team, they have the priorities marked with the P. So I would go to the 192 task list and pull up that document.
So this is in kellerinc.com.
Kellerinc.com. Emily, can you post that? Kellerinc.com. And if you actually go to the website first and go to books, MREA resources, and actually post the link from that page. She'll throw that up in the chat box.
All right, thank you.
Rebecca, don't worry. We're going to throw the link up. So she's going to kellerinc.com. She's going to go to books, MREA, and on the MREA page, you'll see the 192 tasks. So she will post that link in just a second there to the chat box. Make sense?
Thank you, Michael.
You got it. Thank you for the question. Those are two good questions that got you some pretty good information. Can you see how this whole interactive thing on these Zoom calls helps us all? So thank you, Joe. Thank you, Saru, for bringing those two things up. Because again, those are things that might not have come to light if I didn't have the question. So thank you for being interactive and playing at a high level. I appreciate you both. Explain the 20%. I think we hit that. Talk about earning the role. Again, it's that job ownership graph. That job ownership graph that I mentioned a few minutes ago. Show them what earning the role looks like and what that 58 to 60 day conversation. Thank you. Please hit that link right there in the chat box. That will bring you right to the resources for the MREA. It's actually the top one. It's kellerinc.com, books, Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And then the resources brings you to that same page. Is that two different links?
Mm-hmm.
So the resources will actually bring you to the specific page where you can download the Excel spreadsheet. That's the 192 tasks. Discuss accountability. So this is pretty direct. Tell them that you're only hiring them 30 days at a time. You're hiring them 30 days at a time. I'm actually, that point out you'll continue to ensure they're achieving their goals, that every 30 days we're going to make sure we're hitting the goal for that 30 days. At 60 days we'll hit that goal. At 90 days we'll hit that goal. If at any point we feel that you're not a right fit for the role based on your performance, I will be honest with you. And if you feel you're not a right fit for the role, you can be honest with me. But I do believe it's important for us to be honest together if we're going to build a win-win in this business together. So again, you're kind of setting yourself up to educate them that there's a high level of accountability. Some people are used to going and starting a job without even talking to their boss for a month. That's not how we roll. So you want them to know there is no hiding. There is no, kind of coasting that, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner. You want to hold every one of your dollars accountable. Because if you're spending $40,000 on an executive assistant, how much more GCI minimum do you want to create? If you're spending $40,000 on an executive assistant, how much more business should you be able to create from that? Yes, Joe, a minimum of 4 times. A minimum of 4 times. So this EA should help you increase your GCI by a minimum of $160,000. $160,000. Let's just ramp back into that number real quick. If you're in the market at 2.5%, an executive assistant should help you increase your sales volume by about $6 million, $6.5 million. So if you're a $10 million producer, the EA should help you get to about 16, 17 million before you need your next point of leverage, right? So again, use that $6 million number. An executive assistant should help you increase your GCI by at least $6 million.
By what time?
Within the 12 months. Within
year.
12 months of hiring.
Okay.
Yep. You should see it. You should see it in that 4th month, Joe. So I say to someone, when you're hiring an executive assistant, you're not investing $40,000. You're not investing $40,000 when you're hiring an executive assistant. You're investing about $12,000. You're putting the money aside for the first 3 months. By the end of that 3rd month, you should see an increase in your appointments, an increase in your listings taken, and an increase in your under contracts. So those should be some of the milestones you're looking for by that 4th month to know you've hired the right person. Because by that 4th month, you should see an uptick in some of those key numbers because you're freed up to do more of those activities. So you should be seeing that in the 4th month, which should increase it. And now, if it doesn't that first year, Joe, it should definitely within the first 12 months of that 4th month. So it might be more like 14 or 15 months, an increase of 160. But then that should be a cyclical thing at that point. Questions on return on investment?
Michael, it's Julie Corbo.
Hey, Julie Corbo.
Yeah, so this is where I will grapple a little bit in terms of how does it look like, because in the CV process of KPA and 3Deep and all those things, you spend time in the validation and all that, and then you do the hire. Now this one sort of gives me clarity on this slide when you say tell them that you're only hiring 30 days at a time. So in the setting expectation, for example, in high level leadership, like a team leader or an MCA, especially if you think you're finding talent who may be leaving another job to look at this opportunity, is that telling them you're hiring 30 days at a time because it's part of the 30, 60, 90, a situation where it will create uncertainty? I hopefully I explained the,
Here's the answer, Julie. I think I know where you're going with this.
Okay.
If someone doesn't like accountability, this is going to create uncertainty.
Okay.
When my first OP laid out this expectation, you might have met Laura Stevens. She laid out this expectation. I said, great, bring it on. I've got no doubt I'm going to hit these numbers. So let's rock. So here's the thing. If it creates uncertainty, then you might have the wrong person hired. So you might even lay out some of what that 30, 60, 90 day looks like as part of the hiring conversation. So there's no question if they did leave a job that they don't get fearful. But I find with highly accountable people, they say, okay, I'm good to go. Let's rock.
I actually like this. I actually like the idea of setting the expectation up front that this may be a 90-day test drive.
Mm-hmm. For both of us. For both of us. You know, and for someone like us, Julie, you know, Julie's an OP as well, guys. So if you're looking at your team leader hire, if you're looking from the agent population, if someone that's going from an agent to leadership, then say, hey, you know what? It's important for us both to test drive it. Keep your sales business going. I typically give them 6 months to phase out of their sales business or to replace themselves and take a 7th level. So I give them some time. So in that first 90 days, keep your listings going while you build this up, because we're going to both test drive this for the first 30, 60, 90 days.
That's actually the ideal. But when you're looking for talent from all levels, it could be someone that you're trying to influence to say, this is an opportunity that you might not want to miss, but obviously there's no guarantee, which is why there's a 30, 60, 90-day process. In the end of 90 days, you can both self-discover that might not be a fit. Even after.
I can tell you, a traditional manager, a manager from a traditional real estate company will feel very uncomfortable with this conversation because there is no accountability there. They rarely see their regional vice president, and this will give them some doubts and uncertainty because they like the security of a job. That's why I haven't seen a whole lot of traditional managers succeed as team leaders in our world, because it's a different behavior profile. Make sense?
That's a big aha on this part here.
Write it down. When I come back to ahas, I'm expecting a lot of good stuff. Expecting a lot of good stuff with the ahas.
Thank you.
So again, this accountability thing, guys, is a muscle. This creating accountability is a muscle. Not everybody can do it. Not everybody likes it. But this is what separates our people that succeed at a high level with those that don't. Everyone that succeeds at a high level has a high level of accountability built into it. We again present a schedule for the first 90 days. You know, I'm going to give someone a calendar, or set up their Google Calendar in that first 90 days that's connected to my calendar so we can see each other's calendars, whichever way you think. You want to give them a calendar and mark out. On that calendar is what are the accountability conversations we're having. So you might mark out in the calendar 3 hours today, 9 to 12, 9 to 10 tomorrow, 9 to 9:30 on Wednesday, 9 to 9:20 on Thursday and Friday. And then, you know, a weekly setup thereafter. So you'll set up those accountability conversations on the calendar ahead of time. You're gonna time block calendar that you know might be on the Market Center calendar. Here's some classes I've already earmarked for you on the Market Center calendar in order to do this. In this, I think it's important that you read the MREA. I don't care what role the person's in. I think you should read the MREA. Actually, I time block 30 minutes for you each day for the next 3 weeks to give you some time on your calendar to read the MREA. So you're teaching them to time block and task manage the important things in their role right at that first hire. Make sense? Thoughts, comments, questions on that? Again, activities are great. I'm trying to keep us either on schedule or ahead of schedule. So we're going to skip them for the moment. I do like this activity. You know, it's a busy work week. So I do want you to mark this. I want you to do this later. It's a busy work week. An unforeseen event comes up. Your new hire shows up for their first day. How will you shift your time and attention to them? So again, unforeseen event comes up. How do you make sure that doesn't derail you from that new hire? Because you put a lot of time into this person so far. You're about to put a financial investment into the person. So you want to make sure you don't get distracted. So this is it's an important activity worth doing.
Michael, quick question over here. So just as we have this 20% expectations of each job profile on the 192 task, do we have a training also, the training tasks which are supposed to be taken care of by every job profile, so that, you know, we can make sure that we are actually giving them the training also as we are expecting them to do the 20% at least. So
no is the quick answer to that.
You know?
No is the quick answer to that. We don't have the training tasks, the right trainings for each profile. It's a great idea though. But what I would say, if I was to mark it out, I think command training is for every profile. The history of Keller Williams, the history of profit share is for every profile. But then you get into deeper, Admins are going to take those admin classes. Buyers, I'm going to look at classes on the schedule that are buyer centric.
Right, exactly. So is that something that listed, like we don't have to think about it? Okay, I just hired a buyer agent now. Now this is what she should be doing within the next 30 days and the next 60 days. And then we can sit there and find out, did you do all of that? Now you're at that stage. Are you comfortable with that? So we can have a, tally, and she's also comfortable that, hey, I'm not really lost in this training. I know what I'm supposed to be doing, focusing on my part of the training, not everything that is out there.
Yep. Yeah, no, so the quick answer, I have no list broken out by role of the training classes for that role. All I will tell you is look at 4 classes. Look at Ignite,
okay,
Win with Sellers, Win with Buyers, and 36-12-3. Just focus on those 4 courses. So Ignite, there's buyer classes in that. There's listing classes in that. So drive the people to each of those. Their database classes and command classes are important for everybody. Win with Sellers is for listing people. Win with Buyers is for buyer people. 36-12-3 will help everybody. So if you just pay attention to those 4 classes, Ignite, Win with Buyers, Win with Sellers, 36-12-3, that will cover your first year worth of classes for any sales type of person on your team. For the admins, command and database and all those classes would be where you drive the admins to. Compliance, green sheet, command, admin.
Compliance, green sheet, command, and admin.
Yep. That's a great suggestion, breaking out all of the training by role. I'll put that on my Sunday list. When I've got free time, I'll find someone to kind of take on that task, because that would be a great way to look at it.
Would we be able to get it somewhere?
It's on my someday list, Saru. If it's one of those things, I'd love to. I will make the recommendation to Keller Williams University to see if they've got that in the pipeline. I by no means can I give you a commitment of when.
All right, no problem. Because as I'm just trying to connect with the GPS that you suggested. So we have a common GPS. Let's say as a team, this is the GCI GPS of us, and you have all these people in there, and you want to make sure that they are focusing on that. So what is exactly how they should be moving towards that side,
Yep.
And we
Love
can
it.
keep a track of that. So what are the resources that they need to get into it?
Awesome. Thank you for the suggestion. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's go here into the next chapter. Evaluate talent in the first 90 days. Where is it? So again, this is such an important statement here. I'm on page 83. On page 83. Focus on evidence, not the emotion. What does that mean? Let's pause for a second. What does that mean? Focus on evidence, not on the emotion. What does that mean?
Are they doing the activities and hitting the goals?
Yep. Are you checking some of those things off the list? Have they accomplished those activities? Have they, have they hit those marks? Have those hit those milestones? And the reason that those results are important, do you think a new hire may frustrate you a little bit in the first 90 days? Are you going to get annoyed by the person in the first 90 days? Might they ask you the same thing twice or even 3 times in the first 90 days? So when it says focus on the evidence, not the emotion, I got to make sure I let go of the frustration. Because when I got to slow down and take my time and take them through a process, I'm going to get frustrated. And if I focus on those feelings, it's going to cloud whether or not the person is accomplishing the activities of the job. So expect to be frustrated. Now, when I say they ask me something 3 times, I actually have a limit. You can ask me how to do something twice. You can ask me how to do something twice. I will show you how to do it once. The second time, I'm going to tell you to grab your notebook, or let's turn a Loom video on in the computer. And you're either going to take notes on what I do, or we're going to do a video of what I do, which you will then save in a video library. Now, if you're training admins, you might make this Loom video thing part of your routine. That, hey, how do you add a listing to the MLS? Well, check that Loom video. It walks you through how I loaded my last listing to the MLS. How did I log into this site? check this Loom video. It's logging into that site. So I show everybody once. The second time, they either record it or they take notes on it. And if it does get to a third time, it gets into the, hey, Debbie, why don't you show me how you do it? And I'll give you some direction from there. If that third time, they don't get 80% of the way there on their own with me just kind of doing some fine tuning, that's a red flag. And I make that note. And that's going to be a question mark that I'm having at the 30, 60, and 90-day mark. Because if I've got to explain something more than 3 times, this person is probably not right for me. Debbie, look at get a comment or you want to make there.
So I would say on the other end of the spectrum, evidence versus emotion, you might start to really just like the person. And you might say, oh, it'll work out. It'll work out. And evidence is very important there.
Without a doubt, I always go to the frustration side, but you're right. Sometimes we'll leave the person in the role that we shouldn't just because we think they're nice. We don't want to hurt their feelings. We don't want to put them out of a job. We hired them in November, and it's around the holidays right now, and I felt guilty letting them go. Here's what I get more than anything else at the 90-day mark. They're not quite doing what I need them to do, but it's my fault because I haven't taken the time to show them everything yet. That's the biggest reason. That's the biggest reason people don't part with someone at 90 days because they don't feel confident enough that they've done their part to make the person successful. So none of this works unless you put that plan together and schedule that time and block the time and take the person through it. Now, I said to someone once at 90 days was, hey, listen, we're at the 90-day mark, and I'm in a quandary, Debbie. You're not quite doing what I need you to do at this point. However, if you're willing to continue and extend this temporary employment for 30 more days, I will give you more of my time the next 30 days to see if we can get you there. So I'm not saying we're in the safe zone yet, but I'm willing to give it 30 more days in order to give you more time to see if we can get you there. Now, on that side, I'm going to have an obligation for unemployment insurance because I'm taking them past 90 days. But I also want to be real with that person that they're not quite there yet. Sam, without a doubt, not taking the time is the biggest key because you can't do any of this stuff unless you have that time block. Focus on the evidence, not on the emotion. Okay, some systems of accountability. I love these. These are all things that should be calendared. Again, the great activity on page 85. I would encourage you to do it. Build system of accountability. Daily stand-ups, weekly 4-1s, 30, 60, 90-day evaluations, 90-day evaluations. Again, my market centers, for the most part, they're doing daily stand-ups. I've got a staff of 8 here in Morristown every day, right in the center area where people come in. They're out there doing their daily stand-up. A quick 15, 20 minutes. What do we have going on today? What customers are at risk? What agents need help? Who needs support? What emails came in overnight? Just a quick daily stand-up, in the 10, 15, 20-minute max. What's our big rocks for this week? What are we evaluating at 30 and 60 days in the 90-day evaluation? So those are things right there that you want to have calendared right into this person's schedule right when they start. Here's some of the things to do with daily stand-ups. The clarify, show clarity in the day's goals. What are potential challenges? Celebrate some successes. This talks about ending with a final affirmation for the team. I'm not an affirmation person, but having something to motivate the team could be important. Maybe it's a story, maybe it's a video. Doing something to motivate the team could be part of that daily stand-up. Weekly 4-1-1s. Again, I use the 1-3-5, but if you've got some specific things going on, you can create some tasks. So on a team, what are some of the things, and for your rainmakers on the call, what are some of those things you want to accomplish each week? You've got some set things on your goal list for each week. And you want to share what some of your key weekly goals are? Well, if I go back to the 1-3-5 for the team, one of that is listings. How many listing appointments do you need a week? How many buyer appointments do you need a week? How many phone calls do you make a week? How many marketing pieces are you sending out a week? So for most mega agent teams, at minimum, you're going to have an appointment goal each week. So if I'm looking at my weekly accountability, it might be, hey guys, our goals last week were 3 listing appointments and 2 buyer appointments. It was a tough week. We only had 2 and 1. We only had 2 and 1, not 3 and 2. So this week, what should we do? Should we increase our goals to 4 and 3? Or are we okay making less money this year? How do you want to handle that? Oh, great, 4 and 3. So our new goal this week is 4 listing appointments, 3 buyer appointments. Let me ask you, where are some people out there that we know are close to a listing that we should be following up with? What email can we send out? What phone calls can we make? You know, what text messages can we send? Hey, have we done a command ad on Facebook for that new listing to generate some buyer appointments? Have we done the command ad on Facebook to do a home selling seminar? So what are some of the activities we can do this week to get those 4 listing appointments, 3 buyer appointments? That's just one example of what I might cover in a weekly 411 meeting. Make sense? Thank you, Sinead. Yes, specific number of appointments is one of the key things that should be in a weekly 411. And I love this. You know, this is kind of the accountability feedback loop. So if you've got especially a buyer agent on your team, this should be the questions you ask each and every week. You know, so I kind of just modeled it. Well, I'm on page 95 in the book. I just modeled it. What were your goals last week? Anyone want to role play this with me for a second? Anyone want to role play with me as if you're a buyer's agent on my team?
I'll do it, Michael.
Chad Singh, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. So,
You got it.
hey, Chad, let me ask you, what were your goals last week? Your appointment goals specifically?
16 appointments.
16, is that total appointments or is that buyer appointments, seller appointments?
Buyer.
16 buyer appointments last week. How'd you do?
I hit 12 appointments last week instead of 16.
Congratulations. Great job. Really nice. You know, 12 out of 16. How do you feel about that?
Feel good. I don't feel great, though. Felt like I should have hit the numbers.
Yeah. What would make you feel great?
If I hit the 16.
Right. Oh, so let me ask you, based on how you did, what's your new goal this week?
Probably push it to 18.
Then push it to 18, try to make up some of that 16. Now, I love the fact, Chatter, thank you, that you said, oh, let's take the word maybe out. You know, but I like the fact that you pushed the 16 and not to 20. Because sometimes when you're behind on that goal, it may not be realistic to catch up on that goal in the very next week. You might need to spread that out to be 18 this week and 18 next week. So that way we can be accountable to our annual goals. But if your goal is 16 and you hit 8, you might not be able to hit 24 next week. So you might need to take that other 8 and spread it out over a few weeks and ramp back up to it. So I like the fact that you said 16 and not 20 because you can't always make it up at one time. Let me ask you, is there anything that might keep you from meeting that new goal of 18?
Not really, no.
Not really? Let's identify, are there some training ideas or some support things this week that you might need to be able to give you a better chance of hitting that 18?
I mean, any suggestions? Perhaps more calls and just to schedule those appointments, yeah.
Well, Bold's starting up. Do you think you should jump into Bold Pivot? Do you think that would help you get that focus on the 18?
You know what? That might be a great idea.
Great. So maybe that could be an idea, or I might look at the training calendar and there might be a win with buyer on the training calendar. So I might look at something in the training environment that might be of support. So let me ask you, Chatter, how can I support you in hitting that goal of 18 this week?
Well, you know, as you just mentioned, anything that you feel that's in the training calendar that can assist me, I'll definitely dedicate my time to it.
Awesome. Well, let's take a look at Bold Pivot perhaps, and let me know as you go through the week how you're doing. How about this? You know, today's Monday. Why don't you check in with me on Wednesday, Thursday? Let me know how we're doing to the 18. That way we don't wait until next Monday to see how we did. We do a checkup in the middle. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. Thank you.
Awesome. Chatter, thank you for role playing with me. I really appreciate that. So guys, this is just a quick accountability feedback loop. It's a great way to check in with your team members on what they're doing. That's a 6-7 minute conversation at most. That kind of keeps everyone aligned to the goals. So get really good at that discussion because you're going to use that a lot as you're building a team. So what we're looking at here next is kind of gearing up. So you've got the daily stand-ups. I just lost the PowerPoint. One second. You got the daily stand-ups. You got the weekly accountability with these 411 meetings. And then we go into, the 30 and 60-day evaluations. At 30 day, it's red light, green light. Am I moving forward? What needs to improve? What needs to change? What's going well? Or is it red light? 30 days, I'm already seeing. What are some of the things that might happen in that first 30 days that might make you say, I'm done, I'm out? What are some things that might come up that would red light it hands down the first 30 days?
Attendance is spotty.
If you're already seeing attendance issues or coming late, leaving early, those are definite red flags for me in the first 30, 60 days. If I've already got someone that's missed 2 days in the first month, the odds are pretty good we're done. If I've got someone that's habitually late or leaving earlier, there's always an issue going on. There's always an issue going on. I look for drama in the first 30, 60 days. If there's a lot of drama going on, I'm not even seeing a fraction of it yet because they're probably holding back on it. If I'm seeing drama already, it's probably only going to get worse. So attendance and drama could be something I'm looking for in that first 30, 60 days. That might be pull the ripcord. Anything else that might come up in that first 30, 60 days?
For me, it's a lack of initiative. If I don't see that, that's going to be a challenge for me. And also any kind of victim behavior. I don't do well with that at all.
Awesome. So again, those are the things you want to make sure you're outlining in the win with me, lose with me conversation. That way, at the 30-day mark, you can say, hey, listen, I'm going to go back to my win with me, lose with me conversation that we had at the job offering. And I kind of share with you some of these things. Well, I'm kind of seeing them already. So can we kind of talk about them and make sure we're okay and make those adjustments right now? So that might be some things for you to do there. I look for stupidity because a wise man once said to me, you can't fix stupid. And if people do things that are just dumb, and there can be lots of examples of dumb, but just it makes no common sense why someone would do something. That's going to kind of be something I pull the ripcord on. Attitude, yes. Resistance to accountability. If I see them uncomfortable in those accountability meetings, that's going to be a problem because they're only going to get worse. So, all could be some things you look for in that first 30, 60 days. Anything else?
Lots of excuses.
Excuses. Yeah, if they already have excuses on why they can't do something or not get something done. Because, again, they haven't been loaded up yet. If they're in the beginning and they're already falling behind, we're definitely going to have some challenges. One of the ahas I had a few years ago, I had an MCA. This was back when we had this, and we still do, this online MCA training. There were little 24 videos the MCA had to get through in order to learn the basics of their job. We hit the 90-day mark, and the MCA still wasn't halfway through. Now, what do you think the expectation was of completing those videos back in the day? The expectation was the first month. You should complete those videos in the first 30 days. It was a video a day for 24 days. So when we're at 90 days and the videos still weren't done, I realized that person wasn't accountable to the basic thing of that basic ramp up training videos that we had. So, one thing, CTE used to have it. There's some other programs that have some training and performance things where you put together some links to videos. We used to have it for some of these roles. I'm going to see if I can find it anywhere. But for my director of agent services, I'm putting together a series of video links, and I'm going to expect them to check them off as they're watching them in order to verify that they're making through those things. So go and look at Kidabee Connect for whatever role you're hiring and just search the role and search for videos and find some videos that you might make part of that. And yes, I will definitely put that on the list of training resources together because they'd be great to have for each role. We used to have them, and Sam, you might remember some of these, but what we kept finding is the videos kept changing so often that a year into it, those links were broken, right, Sam? I know CTE had a great CTE had a great program. They had a great program for that. In the first 30 days, here's 20 videos you want to watch. Second 30 days, here's a bunch of videos you want to watch. But next thing you know, none of those links were working, and those videos had changed, and no one went back and fixed those links. All right, red light, green light.
So these videos are not available right now, Michael?
What's that?
Those videos, you said the links are broken. Are they
No,
not available?
there's lots of videos out there, Saru, but they've changed so much. Our entire video library has completely been reinvented with the new KW Connect about a year and a half, 2 years ago. So if you just go to KW Connect and search some of those keywords, you'll find a bunch of videos. But the document we had that had the links for, and the links were primarily for newer agents more than anything else. Those links have changed so much. Those documents don't work anymore. So I'll just go to KW Connect, search the role, click on video, and start finding a slew of videos there.
Okay.
Mike?
Yeah.
A quick question. I don't know if there is an option for this, but does KW have an option to put an admin on your MyKW account and rather than using your logged in?
Stephen Gendel. The quick answer is yes. I'm not sure if that has been rolled out yet or it's coming any day now. Emily, can you shoot a quick text to Stephen Gendel? Can we add an admin login to the MyKW yet? So Joe, it's been talked about in the last couple of weeks. So it's either a yes or it's any minute now. I know there's a lot of team tools coming out in August because they originally scheduled these team tools to be launched by MegaCamp. So come in.
Hey, Michael.
So let me check on that, Joe. I'm reaching out to our regional tech trainer right now to see if it's live. I believe I heard in the last 2 weeks that it is live. Sam, have you heard anything?
I did not, but what I was going to bring up is a lot of us are all using VAs right now. So just to Joe's point is our VAs have zero access to KW. And I want to bring up to you as the RD as to what can we do to get VAs to have access. Just drop it there.
Oh, no. Yeah, this is an important point. Would you believe the number one source of what's it called? Data theft, fraud, what's that called? Identity theft. The number one source for identity theft in real estate is VAs. So you might remember about 2 years ago, we locked down and everyone had to reset their passwords in KW. The reason we did that was we took the ownership of the logins and passwords from OneKey back to KW because of that, because our agents were giving their logins for everything, and then the VAs would actually go and sell those logins, and that created a lot of identity theft. So yes, the same thing that I believe is available right now, we'll hopefully know before the end of the call. Whether you want to set up a VA or an admin, you'll have the ability to create your own user within your command account and identify what you want to give them access to. Each team can have two admin accesses to their command account. He's going to send us a video, which we will forward out to you on how to do that. So whether it's a VA or an admin, you have the ability to have up to two right now. You'll get a video today.
Thank you.
Sound good? You got it, Joe. Sam, how did I do on that one? Was that what you were hoping to hear?
That was exactly what I was looking for. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You got it. As soon as she gets that video, we will get it out to you guys. I should just stop there while I'm winning.
Call it a day. Exactly.
Let's see. Let's go back into this. Red light, green light. Again, the 90-day evaluation, here's some of the questions I'm asking. Has your new hire owned their 20%? You really want to rate them. So again, there might only be 4 or 5 20% items. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how are they here? Has your organization improved because they were hired? Other people on the team, how's the camaraderie? Is your business increasing? Kind of like we talked about before. Are you going on more appointments? Are you having more listings? Do you have more under contracts? Those are all the signs that reinforce that this was a good hire. If you're at 90 days and you're on the 20% questions, your business is down a little bit and you don't find yourself having as much time, that may be signals that you might not have hired the right person. Um, 90-day ongoing, review the job profile, 36 to 90-day goals, go over the training plan. You know, so I mentioned before, you should kind of mark out their calendar in the first 90 days for the accountability, for the training classes they want to take. You kind of want to go back and be taking attendance as you went. Or maybe have a checklist. Here are all the accountability sessions. Here's the training you expected them to take. And did they attend it? You want to be able to have a visual, because if you go back over the training plan, you want to be able to say, did they hit 100% of the training plan? 90%, 70%, 30%? To me, if they accomplish 70% or less, that might be a pull the ripcord opportunity. But if you're not tracking it, you don't know. Julie Corbo, I love your comment. Look for the drama, that's for sure. Oh, thank you, Emily. There's the Loom video on how you add the 2 admins in your command video. See, guys, that's how the region works. You ask it to do something and it gets done just like that. Great job, Emily. Thank you for making me look good. Gauge job ownership. Do they own it or are you still taking it back? Red light, green light. Explain ongoing expectations. There is a job aid. Let's go back to that page we were on before. Share screen. I'm going back here. How do I change this window? 30, 60, 90-day agent teams. Let's see here. No, those are all 30, 60, 90-day plans. Transaction coordinator, listing assistant, all that fun stuff. Compensation models for agent teams. You've got some things there. Ongoing forms, onboarding. It's in here somewhere. Go play around in this. I won't take too much time now. Onboarding documents, materials for the first 90 days of your agent hire. There you go, right there. 90-day and ongoing expectations conversation. So if you download this document right here, this is that 90-day tool that you can use for the 90-day expectations conversation. Copy. If you want to know how to get there, download that link, save that link as a favorite in your browser. And that's going to give you quick access to all the documents, all the tools we're talking about. In there, you can find the 90-day expectation conversation document. So all the documents you might ever need are right there. All right. All right, so again, when you're at that 30, 60, 90 day, you want to kind of ask them, you know, how do they think they're doing? How do you think they're doing? You'll go through those things, ask for the 20%. You'll go over the training plan. Again, in here, you kind of have some scripting and some tracking of how you might want to handle this. Then assess their progress in achieving their goals. Go over the training. What did they attend? What did they miss? Why did they miss it? You know, assess the progress and then gauge the ownership. Now at that point, you got to decide whether or not you want to move forward with them. again, with that, you want to kind of give them the idea that what you've done in this first 90 days is just kind of give them the first touch of how it's going to be. Now, you might go to maybe just a once a week accountability session. I don't believe in ever doing anything less than once a week. I think once a week is kind of the minimum of accountability you want to have. But make sure you have an expectation of how you're all going to move forward at this point. And then if it's not going well, you might take the graceful exit conversation. The graceful exit conversation. Do you think we have a script for that somewhere? Do you think we have a script for the graceful exit conversation? Absolutely, Debbie Orr. You've been here long enough to know that's how we roll. And that script looks like this. It's on page 109. It's on page 109. First of all, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to meet with me. As you know, this organization has set very specific criteria in ensuring that we not only have an amazing fit for the role, but that the person can nail the tasks of that role. Based on the expectations of the 30, 60, and 90 and the conversations we've had, we're both clear on what the role requires to ensure that our organization is moving forward. At this point, the goals aren't being met, and we aren't moving in a direction that will lead all of us, you, me, and the team to success. We want you to be successful, and it is imperative that we hit our goals based on the results of our 30, 60, or 90-day conversation. The talents you bring to the table aren't a match to what we need in this particular role. It has truly been a pleasure getting to know you. I hope you've gotten as much out of this relationship as I have. I wish you all the best, but at this point, we need to part ways. What am I doing? I'm shutting up right now. Where are the tissues? It could be tissues. It could be duck with a stapler coming at you. It could be any number of things that could happen. But I just kind of stop. And if you're doing the 30, 60, 90 right, what do you think is going to happen here? If you're truly having the weekly accountability, having the conversations, what do you think is going to happen here?
They're going to say that
Billy?
They're going to say that, they had a feeling that this was going to come. They're probably going to know that they're messing up, and they're not surprised.
Yep. Leslie, did you have a comment you want to make there?
I just said that I think they would have self-discovered before then.
If you're doing it well, they'll actually come to this meeting and they'll quit if you're doing it well. But more times than not, I get, Michael, I get it. I kind of saw this coming. Thank you. I appreciate it. I understand. But now, and this is where it's important to know your state rules. My next phase, I try to be gentle with it. It might look something like this. Hey, Leslie, unfortunately, we have strict protocol on how this works. So I'm going to need to actually walk you to your desk so you can clear your things and escort you out the door. By no means is it anything to do with you. It's just what's required by law, by whatever. In New York, for instance, if you don't escort them out of the building, it may be considered an improper termination. We had one franchise that actually paid a $15,000 settlement because they didn't take that last step and actually walk them out the door. So it's not personal, it's not you, but I need to follow this protocol as part of doing it. So do you need a box, a bag? Please, I'll stand right over here. Let me know if you need anything. And you actually kind of watch them, especially MCAs. When I've had terminate MCA, when I bring them into the office to terminate, I actually have someone going into their office and unplugging the computer. Just because, again, there's financial security issues there. I had to terminate someone yesterday. While I was terminating, I had someone else going in and disconnecting them from all of the social media sites we use. Because I don't want to have happen is have someone go out not being happy about the termination and going and blasting a bunch of social media stuff out there to the company, into the office. So we went out there and disconnected some of those things. Again, those things typically won't happen the first 90 days, but those are all some of the things you want to plan for accordingly when you do terminate someone. What are the tasks you need to do upon terminating? Most times at 90 days, they get it, they walk out, they're on their way. What time of day should you do this?
End of the day.
End of the day, end of the day, end of the week. End of the day, end of the week. It might be something you do right at 4:55. And escort them out from there so there's as little drama potential as possible. Is it something you might want to plan? One time I actually asked them if they can come in 15 minutes early so I can have the conversation, have them clear their stuff and have them removed before the day even started. I prefer to do it at the end of the day, kind of awkward calling someone in early just to fire them. So anytime you can do it at the end of the day is typically the best bet. I love this, and please circle this at the bottom. It is a good idea to avoid having a long conversation with a person. Less is more. So they might get into the why. Hey, you know what, Debbie? In the state of New Jersey, especially during the first 90 days, all employment is considered at will. Either party can terminate that employment with no reason. So let me just say we're just not a fit, and I'll leave it at that. Can I help you get your things? Actually, I have a person. Surprise. I have a person that helps them get their things. Once I'm done, I hand them over to that person, and that person does that. And they're just used to being that person for me because I tend to be a little bit overly nice and, can talk too much at times. So it's easier for me to have my person that can do that escorting out. She has been with me for no less than 10 or 12 terminations. And she's gotten very good at it. She knows doing one yesterday. She said, "Do you want me in the room, Mr. Brand?" And of course, our response was, "Of course I do. I'd love to have you in the room with me for that." Any questions on what that graceful exit conversation might look like?
I just want to make sure, where is that script, Michael?
Page 109.
Of the first
Page 109 of the
It's
workbook.
110. I think your pages are messed up, but it's at 110.
Oh, thank you.
I'm looking at the second one.
110.
Yeah, it says graceful exit conversation. Oh, I have an instructor guide, so my pages might be a little bit off because of that. So 110, Leslie. Thank you. And it's about 2/3 of the way down the page.
Okay.
Again, another great activity on page 111. I do want to just kind of wrap up on this step 4. That way we get that done before our time expires, which is about 15 minutes away. Share screen. So ensure ongoing alignment. Ensure ongoing alignment. Again, weekly conversations, not yearly performance reviews. Weekly, monthly, quarterly. Don't just wait it once a year. You want to constantly be adjusting the expectations. Again, we've talked about this before in the beginning of CV. I'm not going to necessarily go through this again. I do always enjoy looking at the fifth one down. Non-talent may not know where the existing bar is set or even what bar you're talking about, whereas talent is constantly raising the bar. So some things for you to consider there. And this is such a good visual to have in front of you, because when you've got someone that's not talent, you look at this, oh yeah, they're always bringing me their problems. Oh yeah, they're always giving my job back. Oh yeah, they're. So it's good to constantly have this in front of you to remind yourself of what non-talent looks like. There's a great, again, on Miden, it's page 121. According to this, it's somewhere around page 121 to 123. Page 121 to 123. There's this great quarterly rate and ranking. On the top 20% of the job where you can actually score them. Are they exceeding standards, frequently exceed standards, occasionally meets them, so on and so forth? So you can kind of go through and look at the 20%, take those 4 or 5 tasks and rate them regularly. Rate them regularly. It's a great tool to have constant alignment. And I love this PIP, these performance improvement plans. So around page 125 to 127, if someone's not doing well, you could put them on this performance improvement plan where you kind of do some mutual setting of expectations. in order to show some improvement in certain areas. So this is important when you get past the 90 days. I'm gonna stop for a second here because it's so darn important. Stop sharing. The mistake I see agents make, because you only have one hire here or there, once you get past 90 days, you've got to document the termination of an employee. You got to be able to show that you provided notice. You got to be able to show that you gave them an opportunity to improve. So you want to use things like quarterly reviews, personal improvement plans. I can't tell you how often, unfortunately, something happens where you get out of business with someone and they come and claim they were unfairly fired, unfairly treated. They might put out there some type of a discriminatory thing, whether it be age, race, religion. So you want to make sure you're documenting someone's performance or lack of performance, and you've given them some opportunity to improve themselves. That way, if you ever get challenged, and I've been challenged over the years without a doubt, but I've always had a file that I could rely back to be able to show evidence of opportunity, or at least evidence that we had conversations that the performance was lacking. So if you do decide to get into a termination discussion with someone, please make sure you talk to your market center leadership so we can guide you through the process of doing it the right way and not a way that could put you or us in jeopardy. Make sense? Looking at the last couple of slides again, we look at page 131 in your book, and you'll kind of see the whole map with they earn the job down below. I'm actually pull it up if it's in the PowerPoint because it is worth it. Yeah, I mean, so again, I love this because again, we talked about the first 90 days. They talk about the first 90 days where you own the job to they earn the job to they own the job over time. I mean, look how much time you're committing to in that person's role, and they're doing it at a very high level. This is ultimately the goal of the 30, 60, 90 program, is to put them into a place where they own it, they operate it, they do it better than you do it. They do it better than you do it. And the next session, Success Through Others, we're going to talk a little about consulting. You would talk a little about consulting where when they come to you with a problem, you start consulting them on how to solve the problem. Because here's the thing, if you tell someone what to do you think they're highly committed to doing it that way? Or if they come up with a plan of what to do, they'll be more committed. Which way do you think they'll be more committed, to your idea or to their idea? To their idea. Because if it's your idea and it doesn't work, sorry, I tried, it was your idea, it didn't work. If it's their idea, be more committed. So we're going to talk in Success Through Others, how we consult someone to find without a doubt, their idea is tied to emotion. By consulting them to their idea that would work for you, they'll be more committed to getting it done. Billy, would you give this after 30, 60? Give them what, this particular page?
No, that performance evaluation. Let's see that, if they're not doing what they need to do after the 30 days, do you do that as a enhanced performance?
Without a doubt. I think you can use that personal improvement plan, the performance improvement plan at the 30-day, at the 60-day. Again, it's less of a concern because you have to document as much in the first 90 days. After the 90 days, you definitely want to be using that every chance you get. It'll bulletproof you for termination. Okay. When you get to terminations, there's also things you can do where if someone's not performing, and I might not have documented as well as I'd like to. I had someone about a year ago that was that way. It wasn't quite as documented as it could be, but it was after the 90 days. As I sat down and talked to them, I said, I think we both agree that we're not quite where we want to be. I'll give you an option if you'd like. I can give you if you'd like, I can either terminate you, or you can resign in lieu of termination. You could resign in lieu of termination. What's the difference between the two? For unemployment purposes, I treat it the same way. It was an involuntary termination. But by them doing a resignation in lieu of termination, then they're kind of letting me off the hook to ever come back and say that I terminated them unfairly because they technically resigned. But by doing a resignation in lieu of termination, then they can still put me on their resume, and I will still give a generic resume response. Whereas if they were terminated and the next job is saying, well, what happened here? Then they have to say, well, I was fired. Whereas if they resign, they can say, yeah, that wasn't a fit for me, I resigned. A resignation in lieu of termination looks better for them on the resume. So that could be one way to handle that situation. That's also a nice way to exit gracefully.
Does that work with unemployment?
Unemployment, it works the same way as termination. And that's kind of, on that situation, Leslie, we filed the unemployment paperwork wrong. You know, we filed it as a resignation, where a resignation in lieu of termination, technically you still file it as a termination. So I actually had to go in front of the New Jersey unemployment, I had to have an unemployment hearing. And they asked me specific questions. The main question was it voluntary or involuntary? Did they have a choice in the termination or did they not have a choice? And the answer was they did not have a choice. And because it was involuntary is what made me pay, which required me to pay the unemployment. So when I did meet with this person, I said, I can terminate you, or you can resign in lieu of termination, and I won't challenge the unemployment. I'll still lie to accept unemployment. It's sometimes a softer way to. I've used that a handful of times as a softer way to separate after 90 days. Thoughts, comments, questions. That's 30, 60, 90. Thoughts, comments, questions on everything we talked about today. We covered a lot in 2.5 hours, didn't we?
Michael, can you repeat that? The resignation in lieu of termination?
Resignation in lieu of termination. It allows you to separate in such a way where they can't give you a hard time later, but you're not going to challenge the unemployment. Resignation in lieu of termination, and I will not challenge your unemployment. Other thoughts, comments, questions?
Michael.
Maureen, how are you?
I'm good. I feel the evaluation sheet can also be used for opportunities in the organization. I know in other teams and other offices, they're always looking for leadership opportunities. So if you have an individual that you see is growing and is always taking stuff off your plate, that's a good sign also. Maybe you don't have the space, but there are other places that there's opportunity for them also.
Yep. Without a doubt, and one thing I want to reinforce, you kind of said there, Maureen, is don't think these evaluations are just for negative performance. It's important for you to use them for positive performance as well, because it'll either support that opportunity later for that growth, or on the flip side, if someone shifts and starts doing poorly, you have a pattern of success, and then you can actually see something change. So it allows you to kind of look a little bit deeper into what's going on there. Give me a couple of ahas before we wrap up. A couple of ahas. What'd you get out of today?
I had a huge aha in that I can create an entire plan from beginning to end, from expectations, the training goals, the GPS, use the 90-day graph for all the future hires that I may or may not do going forward, and have everything mapped out to clearly not only set those expectations, but to be able to measure all of those metrics to make a really informed decision all the way across, objectively, not subjectively.
Awesome. Awesome. And that's why, if you're just in the process of hiring, you're not 30, 60, 90 yet, taking all this course now is great because you can see it takes a little time to organize. Saru came up with a couple of great comments of other things you can add to the 30, 60, 90. So this gives you time to start building out that path, building out that plan, which gives you a much higher rate of success as you start executing on it. I saw Leslie unmuted, Kelsey, and Saru. So Leslie, comment?
Well, I just think that, the whole process, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, it's pretty painful. So setting yourself up, not only the person for success, but setting all of you for success and also accepting your responsibility as part of that is really big as well. Because if it doesn't work out, it's on you. You're going to suffer too.
Yep. Without doubt. And we all know what E to P stands for, right? What's E to P stand for?
From
entrepreneurship to
Excellent.
From entrepreneurial to purposeful, which is also called going with what's easy to what's painful. You know, doing something like this that's outside of your norm, that's outside of your comfort zone, while it's painful, it's a lot less painful to go and do it over and over and over and over again, expecting a different result. So all of this is about changing what you do, adjusting your system and model in such a way that's going to give you a higher rate of success, a better rate of return. So you have to do it less often. No pain, no pleasure, chatter. Kelsey, do you have a comment? I saw you unmuted there.
If I may just say, or add to what Rebecca has
Kelsey, I'm
said.
not hearing you, just so you know, Kelsey. I don't know if your mic's not working. I saw your lips moving, but didn't hear anything. So while she's figuring that out, Suru, do you want to make a comment?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to, you know, kind of as I was comprehending the whole 2.5 hours, it's really a deep, thorough analysis of what you might be getting into as you're growing yourself. It gives you a picture of, hey, you know, this is the roadmap, and are you ready for that, or how can you get ready for that? As you are moving on from maybe a solo agent or maybe an agent with just one person or two person and getting onto this business ownership thing. So I kind of agree with Rebecca, how she, you know, she said, okay, fine, this is the detailed map, and gives us an idea. It also lets us know that, you know, the kind of ownership that you need to be taking, and that along with that, it is like the pain part will come with it. And you have to agree to, you know, changing your responsibility from a entrepreneurial, happy-go-lucky single agent to being a team owner and a business owner. So it's kind of getting you ready for that. Okay.
Awesome.
So it's the right time to take this course because it actually shows you the picture.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you, Saru. Appreciate that. Any other final ahas? Kelsey, did you fix your microphone by chance? No? Feel free to throw your aha in the chat box if you want. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. 30, 60, 90 tomorrow is the third part of this, Success Through Others. Same bat time, same bat channel, 10:30 to 1. Where again, we'll talk about how you lead them in the long term, how you reconnect them to their motivation conversation, how you consult them at a high level to find their own decisions. That tends to go a little bit faster. So I would expect to definitely be done before 1 o'clock tomorrow. Thank you all for being here. Chatter, thank you for role playing. Joe DeVito, Billy Pena, thank you for all of your contributions to the call. Leslie, Sinead, I appreciate all the contributions you all made. Saru, thank you. It was great having you all here today. See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Thanks, Michael.